Matt, how big of a piece was it being able to extend Zach and obviously, what he's done the last 4 years here with
Yeah, it's great. It's awesome to anytime you get a guy that gets rewarded like that, and he's earned it. So he's played a lot of really good football for us. I FaceTimed him right after I saw that the deal was done, and he couldn't stop smiling. So, but I'm confident. Anytime you pay a player like that, I'm confident that he's going to do what's got him here, and it's just coming out, attacking it the right way, putting in the work, and just being a consistent force for us.
What's impressed you the most about what he's done for you since moving into that starting role a couple of years ago?
Well, I think just kind of how he approached it from day one and just being thrust into some very interesting situations, like on game day, oh, hey, buddy, by the way, you're going to start at left tackle or wherever. And, he's never flinched. He's a pretty resilient guy, pretty steady Eddie, and then he's overcome some things too, like when he tore his pec, and watching him battle through that and come back and play great football.
Matt Goody was in here talking about how he thinks you guys have a championship caliber football team, but you can't skip the steps to getting there. What is your message at the start of this season to a group that has had some success as a young team, but I'm sure wants to take that next step?
Yeah, I think we're capable of doing some really good things, but we got to be willing to do the work, and that was pretty much the message to the team. Are you willing to do all the little things that it takes? Because it takes a lot to get even to that point to reach the postseason. It takes a lot to. We got a really tough division. We got a really tough schedule, and that's the National Football League. So. But you got to do all the little things, and then you always got to have a little luck on your side in terms of staying healthy throughout the course of the season.
Matt, along those lines, at the end of mini camp, I asked you what kind of team you thought you had. You said, I don't want to put too much out there. You've got a ton of guys that have shown lots of glimpses of how good they really are, but they haven't done it consistently. Is that realistic to think that all those guys that are in that kind of group can all make that jump and do it game to game, week to week?
Well, I think that's the expectation, and we always talk about just daily improvement, and we're going to challenge and push these guys to be at their best on a consistent basis. Each day, you're either getting better, you're getting worse, you're never staying the same. So you got to be deliberate about what you do. You got to be super intentional, super mindful, and then you have to put in the work. There's no substitute for that.
Matt, you mentioned the tough schedule, the tough division. You've obviously got Detroit week 1. Any difference in ramping up during preseason to kind of get ready for that game?
No, we'll stick with our process that we map out, and certainly I think one of the things that we've done a decent job is trying to be fluid throughout, and you got to have a kind of the pulse of the team in terms of how you adjust throughout the course of camp. But we've got a lot of good people in our building that can help guide us to whatever the best answer is.
I know Elton's been here. Go ahead.
If you had no restrictions, would you practice more in camp than you're scheduled to?
What do you mean?
Like, if there were no CBA restrictions?
No, I feel pretty confident with what we do. So might have more time in the building, more meetings, more walkthroughs, but no, I don't know. There are, so you just make the best of it.
I know Elton's been here a while. He's played some center for you. But how important is it for him to get out there at some point sooner than later to start building that chemistry there with Bill?
Yeah, I think the rapport when you talk about your offensive line is critical, especially when you talk about the center position. I think a lot of times it can be often overlooked in regards to all the nuances that position entails. I mean, you are the guy making all the calls. Obviously, you touch the ball on every play. You're the only other guy other than the quarterback that touches that ball on every play, and there's nothing more important than that. So just the ability for really the entire offense to get off on the snap count, it really rests, a lot of that rests upon the shoulders of the center.
Seems like in the NFL, you leave no stone unturned with analytics, this, that, the other. The new locker room that's unveiled, do things like that matter to a team and the success they have and the feeling they have coming into the building?
I think it's nice, but like I told our guys, it gives us 0 wins. I mean, you've got to go out and nothing's changing with that football field. You got to go do it out there. So, although it is a great luxury, I just want our guys to understand. I told them yesterday, I'm like, hey, we got all these sexy facilities, but understand there's nothing sexy about the process. I mean, it takes a lot of hard work, dedication, sacrifice, pain to get to where you want to go, and hopefully at the end of it, there's a payoff.
I know it's early in the process, but how has Jordan Morgan this offseason readjusted back to left tackle, and what do you hope to see from him?
Yeah, he's done a nice job. His body looks different. So it'll be interesting to let it naturally and organically kind of play itself out throughout the course of camp. But he's going to be, he's going to have to cross train at guard and tackle, and we'll see where it all lands.
With Bo Melton spending most of his time with the corners during training camp, just what are you hoping to see from him over these next 4
Well, I just think that we know what he is as a wide receiver, and I think it just gives him the best opportunity moving forward in regards to if he can really kind of carve out a role in that spot.
Hey, Matt, back to Pete's question a little bit about practice time. The league's changed a lot even since you came and were on Houston's staff, in 07, 08. What are the biggest differences you see now in training camp versus 17, 18 years ago?
Well, it's been kind of a natural evolution, so you kind of adjusted along the way, but there are definitely a lot more restrictions in regards to, like you mentioned, like the time constraints and all that, but I do think the mentality has kind of changed a little bit. Before, I mean, you were out there 2-a-days grinding, and that's not the case anymore. So there's a lot more sports science involved in this, and the rest and recovery, and so, hopefully it's better for our guys.
Well, I think you're coming here in 2019 and then coming into this season and how, your coaching staff has been together now a couple of years and the roster's kind of coming together. Did you spend some time this offseason thinking about, what's left? I mean, you've learned a lot, right? But how do I get to that next step?
I think that's what we're always hunting, is trying to figure out how to get everybody to elevate. Myself, our staff, our support staff, and certainly our players, because they're the ones out there going to play the game. So that is at the forefront of our mind all the time.
Hey Matt, Jeff Hafley obviously did a lot of good things with this defense in year one. As a coordinator, what's his biggest challenge in year two?
Well, I think it's just to continue to evolve and try to put the guys in the best position possible, and it takes everybody. It's not just on him. It's the players, it's the other coaches, and it's all of us, myself, to continue to push and try to get and have an even better version of what we were last year. And I thought our defense progressively got a lot better throughout the course of the season, but it's always hard to replicate, and so but that is the expectation.
What did you learn about Golden these last couple months, and do you think he can, help contribute right away like some of your other receivers have in recent years?
Yeah, absolutely. I think he's definitely not afraid of hard work. He cares about the game. He's gonna put the time, and he's gonna be dedicated. And now it's fun. We get to football, and it'll be great just to watch him when we get the pads on, when we go to practice against other teams, when we're playing in those preseason games. And again, there's a lot of competition in that room, so those guys are going to have to fight for all those opportunities.
Matt, what do you think of Sean Ryan's year?
Excuse me?
Will you put him all over the place, Golden? I mean, or do you want to focus on one area?
I think it's easier initially to start with a primary position, but it's really how much can they handle, and the more he shows that he can handle, then that'll just naturally occur. But I think we've done a nice job. I think Vrabel, Mahaffey do a really good job of, just training these guys. We always try to teach concepts and where you fit within the concept. And the more the player proves that they can handle that and move him around, then he gets more opportunities.
How'd you feel Sean Ryan played last year, especially after, he kind of stopped the snap sharing, time sharing deal at guard?
Yeah, I think Sean has progressively gotten a little bit better each and every year. So I know this is a big year for him. So I'm excited for him. He had a great offseason. I think this is. All you guys and your phones. That's why I don't have a phone in here. This is why we have our rule, no phone. So I don't even know what the question is anymore.
Hey Matt, you've referenced your address to the team a couple times. How do you prepare for that each year? And now that you're in year 7, how's that evolved?
Yeah, I mean, I think it happens naturally a little bit. I think you got to have a pulse for where you're at a little bit. And certainly I've been around these guys for some time now. It's always interesting when you get the new group in and how they acclimate. And, it's great. That's what part of the reason you have the off season is to get around these guys. And, there's a lot of trust that I have in those guys in that room. And we just got to all work together and continue to push one another and, to bring out the best in each other.
If I recall last year in practice, you started to do more offense versus defense, like real offense versus real defense stuff in practice. Is that accurate?
Yeah, I would say you're talking during the course of the regular season. Yeah, there was more competition period. Matter of fact, that really went back to 2 seasons ago when we were struggling quite a bit, just trying to up the intensity level, because I think when you're competing again, good on good, and you don't know what's coming at you, unscripted looks, all this, it forces those guys to go out there and play the game and compete at a high level. So that is a carryover from a season and a half ago.
So can you implement that in training camp, or is that?
I mean, that's pretty much all training camp is for the most part, and until we start to get more towards those preseason games and closer to the regular season.
I think Jacobs had just over 300 carries last season. Would you be comfortable giving him that kind of workload again this year, or do you need to monitor that a little bit more coming on?
We'll just let it play out. I mean, a lot of it's dependent upon the health of the player, with the running backs, you're always in constant communication with them, like, hey, how you feeling? And when they tell me that they're good, and sometimes you got to protect them from themselves, but I think he's a guy that's proven that he can handle the load, and so it's going to be just dependent upon his health.
More a couple of years ago when you had Tucker and Luke, it was how are they going to progress year 1 and then year 2, and the fact that those two have been able to work together and you've added a few to that tight end room, how much more comfort does it give you knowing that those guys have a lot of experience?
Yeah, we have a lot of confidence in that room, and the big thing for a guy like Luke is just staying healthy. I mean, it'd be nice to have those guys fully healthy for the duration of the season, and I mean, both those guys are weapons, and they have things that are, within their own skill set that are a little bit different, which is exciting.
How great Tucker played last year. Do you feel like there's even more that he can get out of his game in a certain
Yeah, I definitely. I think he's an ascending player, and it's not by surprise. I mean, the guy works his ass off every day, and you see it. He was here the entire summer working with our guys, putting the work in. So I think it's a credit to him.
Matt, I know it's just day 1, but what do you want to see from your team today to feel good about the start of training camp?
I think just attacking it with a deliberate mindset and going out there and competing and working together. That's really the message. When you don't have pads on, I told the guys, like, if we lose one person, that hurts our football team. So they got to respect each other enough to be able to compete, but within the guidelines of, you know, how you play football without pads. So I think that's always the challenge. I went back and watched last year's, and I didn't like it. So hopefully we'll get off to a better start today.
Hey, Matt, speaking of competing.
You always ask the extra question every time. Never fails.
Are you okay with that?
It's up to my boss here.
These guys are obviously competing every single down, I get that, but from a starting job perspective, it's really only the left tackle job that's really truly a full-scale competition.
See, I would disagree with that statement wholeheartedly. I think everything's a competition. So I know that you guys, you know, have people penciled in, but like a lot of things change in this league, and you can't take it for granted. And you got to earn your spot every day. So I would disagree with you there.
I appreciate that. So my question then is, to me, and you can correct me if I'm wrong again, competition here is you got so many wide receivers, you got a bunch of edge rushers, you got all these really good players. Is the competition about, hey, on 3rd and 7 when the money's on the table, who's going to be out there for us offensively? Who's going to be out there defensively? Is that what we're talking about when we're talking about competition?
Yeah, I think absolutely. Every opportunity that these guys get, they got to earn. And quite frankly, I don't care what you've done in the past. You got to go put in the work, and you got to prove it throughout the course of the training camp, the preseason. And you can never take it for granted because things change quickly in this league.